It's this is season 7, episode 34, number 299 of the Decoded podcast. We're starting later than usual, um which means that my payment to you, Chris, for the counseling is probably going to be in the mail pretty soon. It's going to look like a
Sweet.
Kawartha Dairy gift card.
Nice. Nice.
That's how I pay Chris for his counsel. I just
And
send
my family appreciates it.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the cool things about uh from my perspective, you as my friend, is how you and your family function. Like I, you know, I know your wife a little bit, and
Mhm.
I've met your kids. Um, I've had the privilege of playing Fortnite with your son. He's got some skills, so he should be on an esports team at your school. You got to figure that one out. But
Mhm.
um, I know that the ice cream place is close by. It's good ice cream. The whole family enjoys it. So for me, it's kind of cool to pay you that way so that everybody can benefit from the ice cream. I'm really jealous that you have a Kawartha Dairy ice cream, literally down the street from your house.
It is. It is. It's so to qualify, it is a five minute walk from my classroom.
Oh, that's right. Your school's
Yeah.
right there on that corner.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I haven't told my students this yet, but so next week we go into exam week. So
Okay.
it starts on Wednesday. And in community classrooms, one of the one of the sort of caveats of exam week is that students will attend and we're kind of doing full programming. Like there's no, in so high school exam week, the typical exam schedule is 5 days, well, whatever number of periods you have. In our situation, we have a 5 day schedule, sorry, a 5 period schedule, which translates to 5 exam days. And at the end, sometimes you have an exam review day, and then the school year ends with typically PA days. um in your case, you folks actually got a holiday on that last day, didn't you? Like it actually, yeah, that was the last year that I remember. So
This
anyways,
year, yeah, we have a PD day on the last day this year.
didn't last year though you also pulled up one day early?
I
Like
don't
there was,
remember.
yeah, I think I was coveting that. So where was I going? So with the 5 day schedule, like all of my students are aware that their integration course ends next Tuesday. So during period 2, so I have the kids for 4 periods. It's 3 periods a day. They have a period for lunch, and then they have an integration class where they go and they take a credit bearing course. So that course doesn't exist as of Wednesday. Like it just doesn't anymore because teachers that are teaching in credit bearing courses all have some sort of a culminating an exam, some sort of summative. So during that exam week, they proctor or they're marking, and then that's the morning, and then the afternoon, that's it. They're kind of cleaning up their rooms. But I'm in a community classroom, so because the students don't have exams other than in their integration class, they're going to be hanging with me. So we're doing programming of some sort. I think over half the kid, I think I'll probably have maybe 2 or 3 kids. So it's not a huge cohort. So I'm just kind of like putting together what would be good to do that week. So I think definitely we're gonna walk over to Cortha. We're gonna get some ice cream. So that is on the list. We're probably gonna have some sort of a pizza party. We're gonna have watch some movies. We're gonna play some games. I might um I don't know, maybe I'll bring in a video game. I don't know. We can play on the LCD projector. Like we're just going to do stuff that's kind of light and fun, some positive memory making, some out of the ordinary memory making. But I also know by doing this, I'm investing forward in my programming next year. So well, I guess I could be, as they say, uh, I could have more. It's kind of nice to have fewer students just to kind of be chill. They find out that we did video games, pizza, and ice cream in those last few days, those students might actually come back in. Like next year, they're like, "Yo, we're coming in." Like we missed out on that. I hope for them that whatever they choose is deeply satisfying. Many of them right now are like, "Yeah, we want summer to start." So, Kawartha ice cream, my family appreciates it. Um, and I'm looking forward to the next few days. Next, I think I deserve some ice cream, so I'm looking forward to getting some.
I like that. That's cool.
Send the
Uh,
gift card soon. Express mail.
Express
Yeah.
mail. It's very actually, well, let's say, good morning, Gary. Gary's with us. Good morning.
Morning, Gary.
Gary, thanks for your positive thoughts. God answered yes to our prayers. That's all I'm going to say right now with
I
Gary
like
here.
it. I like it.
Yeah, Gary and I leaning in on the spiritual side of things as Catholic educators. Kawartha Dairy. So I don't know if you've ever purchased a gift card from them. What happens is it's very antiquated, actually.
Hmm.
I fill out a form, I pay using my credit card online, but then they literally they get a message and then they get a card, load it, put it in an envelope and send it to you. Like they so in the on the form I have to say I'm you because it asks me who are you? Where is this card going?
So you can't really give it
It's
as a gift. You
weird.
give it
And
as
no,
a
not
gift. You can't give it as a gift in the traditional sense of a gift card.
not the way their system is from what I can recall, because I think I've sent you at least 2. So,
I believe so.
I have to tell them I'm you, and then for
It's awesome.
payment, I'm me. You
Yeah,
get what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah, yeah. Because it's like, okay, the credit card, what's the name of the credit who owns this credit card? And then it's like
Yeah.
my name, but it's going to you. So the last time you got a card from me, I messed up and I filled it in that I was the recipient and I was the payer. So then I was like, "Oh, for God's sake,
So you
this is
had to
gonna
remail it. It got mailed to you and you mailed it out. Remailed it
this
out.
is gonna
Gotcha.
take like a whole other week to get to Chris." Like,
That explained why my kids were crying. They're like, "Where's the gift card, Daddy? Where's the gift card?" I'm like, "It's on its way."
and really a nice touch is whoever's responsible for the gift cards. Once you put the order, I remember I got an email from somebody there saying, "Hey, Roland, we know you ordered a gift card. We're putting in the mail today and we're sending it to you." And I was like, awesome. I didn't want to mess with the, oh, by the way, can you change the address? I wanted no trouble. Just do your process and then I'll do my process. But I like it. It felt very, I don't know if it's a family thing, but it felt very family-ish. And I kind of like that because we're losing some of that these days. We're losing like I feel like we're losing we're losing that the humanity between people in these interactions. And I think I have a good story that started rough but ended well. So my son, my youngest, is graduating in a little over a week from elementary school, and he had to get his pants hemmed. So we bought him a suit and then we bought his shoes. And then once we had the shoes, we went back to the suit place to get his pants hemmed. And I walked in with him, and right away there were like 4 employees, and one of them started making her way towards us, and it was the oldest of the group. Does it matter that she was older? I think in this case there is space for this context that it was a woman that was older than me, and I'm in my late 40s. So you know, I made some assumptions about her. So as she came closer, she's like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And she didn't smile and she seemed annoyed to me. So I told her what we were there for. And then she repeated what I said to her. So I said, "We're here to get my son's pants hemmed." She's like, "You're here to get your son's pants hemmed?" I said, "Yes, we're here to get my son's pants hemmed." And she goes, "Okay, where are the pants?" Like, again, it wasn't personable. So my son said he could see right away I got my back up. He's like, "Dad, I knew right away you were not impressed and you were kind of talking to her in a way that wasn't really nice." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't feel like I was being rude yet, but he could feel it. But I'm like, "You know me, kid. You've known me for 14 years." So the lady takes the pants from me and I say to my son, "Here are your shoes. Don't forget your shoes." And she goes, "Oh, we don't need those." And I said, "What do you mean you don't need those?" Because my experience of getting pants hemmed has always been, bring the shoes that you're going to wear with these pants so that we
This happened with me and Jake too.
oh,
They said, "Don't bother." And
so
I was like, "Go, go, go." Yeah, but I had a moment
okay.
too. I was like, "Alright," because that was on the checklist from my spouse. "Make sure you bring the shoes." And I'm like, "Make sure you bring the shoes, make sure you bring the shoes." And I brought them, and I'm like, "Oh, all this mental effort, and you don't need them? Continue." But I had the exact same experience with my son getting his suit, I will say not upholstered, but my that's what my brain put into my mouth. Not upholstered, altered, altered,
Yes,
altered.
yes. So she says, "You don't need those." And I said, "What do you mean he doesn't need those?" She goes, Sir. So we're getting anal now. She's like, I've been doing this for many years, and this is not how I do it." I said, This is not how we do it here." I said, "Whoa. I was here last week with my other son, and they did do it with the shoes. And I've never in all my years seen a tailor do it without the shoes." She's like, "This is how I do it." And it was a moment of, the way she said it was like, "You can take it or you can leave it." And so
Mm.
I said, I said, "Okay." And then as my son was walking into the change room, I had a moment of, "Stop, we're leaving." I had that moment, but I let it go. So he went into the room. I put the shoes down beside me. She left me right away. So there was tension like you couldn't believe between me and this lady. So I was doing some self-talk to like, "Hey, bring yourself down. Let's just see what comes next." So the kid puts the pants on, he comes out, he stands in front of the mirror, and she comes over and she starts doing the pants. And she goes, "Is this okay?" And then I came over to look. I said, "I would prefer if you made them longer because I, I don't, no shoes on. I don't know what's going on. So let's err on the side of caution that there's too much pant, because I'd rather be too much pant than him look like a fool, not enough pant." So I say, can you make it a little bit longer?" And then this is where both of us started to ease up, because then she was like, "Well, there's not a lot of pant here in the first place. Your son's like in the middle of a, it's almost like the perfect size pants." So we're negotiating, and I'm breathing. I'm doing everything I can to not be a complete asshole. And my son can feel it on me. I can see it in his face. He's like, "This is not good between the two of you." So then she goes, "Bring the shoes over." Bring the shoes over. He puts the shoes on. I'm like, "Okay, I like that with the shoes on." She's like, "Okay." And then she's like, "Well, when's the graduation?" So I tell her. She goes, "Okay, there's some time. Do you want to get them done today?" And I said to her, "Listen, the last time I was here, you guys told me it was going to be at least a week. So I said, I'm running out of time, and I don't want to be that guy that walks in here and says to you, the grad's in 5 days, so you must do this. I'm not telling you what to do, but I don't think we have time based on the way you guys operate here and your backlog. So I have to do them now. It's now or never based on your protocol." She's like, "Good point, good point." And then she goes, "Okay, we're good." So he goes in, and as he's changing out of his pants, she says, "Sir, come with me. Let's go to the cash." Then she's totally being nice now. So I see that she's backed off. She's smiling a little bit more, and she's acting like how I wanted her to act. Like, I'm the customer, you're the employee. I'm going to pay you for a job. So can you treat me with a little bit of nicety and respect? Like, I haven't been disrespectful to you. I came in okay. You hit me with not okay, and now I'm mirroring what I'm getting, whether you like it or not. So we get to the front. My kid comes out, brings the pants up. She asked for my phone number, and then the minute I gave her my phone number, then she started using my first name. And then everything started to settle. And then we were joking about sports and kids, and it ended like we were best friends. So we walk out of the place, and my son's like, "Dad, I thought you were gonna lose it on that lady." And I'm like, no, she did a good job of turning it around. I said, she turned it around first, and then I mirrored to her what she was doing to me. He's like, I did not think this was, he goes, I was like, I didn't know how long we were going to last in there. And I said to him, dude, I said at one point, this was great for him because he's like, I could tell you were ramping up. And when you go off, it's going to take an hour for you to come back down. That's just how you are. I'm like, well, did you see how she was treating me? And then when you were in the room, I had to do like a lot of personal work to calm myself because I said to him, if we were going to stay, I had to be okay. But if we were going to go, it would have been a different story in the car on the ride to the next tailor's place. Um, so long story short, he learned. I explicitly explained certain things to him. I said, she did a good job by using my first name at the end because it personalized the experience. I wasn't just Sir, I was Roland now. And then when she used my name, then I asked her what her name was because I was like, this is going to help me. If I can talk to her and address her as Mary or whatever, I don't remember the name, but she was humanizing the experience. It's too bad it didn't start that way. But I said to him, this is a great example for you to see how I maneuver, right or wrong, and then how she maneuvered, and then how she personalized it. And so he said to me, what could you do different next time? I said, next time, I think what I would like to do is the minute I get my back up, is to ask what their name is. And so I can personalize it. And then maybe I could say, just so you know, because at one point I put my hands up in the air like, you're right, you are the expert. That's why I'm here. I don't hem pants. You do. So I'll trust you on it. But it was hard hitting, man, to start. It was hard hitting. Um, Tell me about your experience. How like they didn't want the shoes, but were you good? Were you just like, yeah, whatever? Or did you get your back up?
So there was uh there was some immediate connection because the person that the tailor, the woman there, she activated a cultural bridge with me without even knowing it. So for the most part, my English is unaccented, at least according to me. I don't have my English, the way that I speak, the way that I articulate. There isn't a clear, I think, root system to my cultural background. Um, so my background is Polish Irish. However, I I hear and recognize Ukrainian, Polish, Russian. There's an affinity connection that I make as soon as I hear that in my environment. There's also a sort of a syntax and a tone that sometimes can come along with that, where it to my ear, it becomes a little more direct, a little more specific, very closely cut. Sha, 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 sha. I hear the sha 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 kind of, and I'm like, there's a Polish person. So right away, when so he went into change, the woman comes out from the back, she's like, he takes a long time. I'm like, yes, he does. I said, I said he doesn't he's mostly sweatpants, t-shirts, hoodies. She's like, sure. And then she just walks to the back. She comes back out again. Still not done. I'm like, no, still not done. Okay. She goes back to the back. And I'm like, okay, I know who I'm experiencing right now, and it's my grandmother. So she comes out a third time. You done? He comes out. He's still doing things up. He says, should I go get my shoes? Don't need shoes. And then right away, I'm like, really? Don't need shoes. I'm like, okay, don't need shoes. And this whole time I'm tripping. I'm like, I'm having memories of hanging out with my grandmother, my grandfather, kind of being told what to do. Because then she's just like, get up on box. I'm like, okay. So he gets up on the box, and I'm like, my people. I'm just like, I'm just gonna go with the flow. And uh in the end, she sort of said, leaving a little bit extra space, he's still gonna grow, so we can't take it down because then the material doesn't hang right up inside the cuff. So I can see she's trying to negotiate what the length would be. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm just holding the shoes in my hand. I'm like, we're gonna go for this. I said, I'm gonna choose to sort of trust this process. I'm going to choose to trust this process. And much like my own grandmother, despite the lackluster articulation or the um, willingness to kind of expound anymore, like it was a very frugal exchange that she was giving me. I've learned to appreciate the depth of experience that sometimes can result in a very economic way of speaking. And I'm looking in the back and I'm looking at the dress that she's working on, that she's paused because she's working on some sort of a dress. I'm like, man, it's some fancy kind of like frilly kind of a thing. I'm like, what's the worst case scenario? Their pant legs. So I'm gonna trust. Um, and she did a thing that actually engendered even more trust. She didn't just do one pant leg, she did both, which is a smart move because for me, one of my so she this is where she triggered in me. One of my hips sits at a different height. So if you were to just do the pant leg by one hip, like where you do the length, you're gonna get it wrong, and you're gonna get it wrong noticeably. There's almost like a half-inch difference, bro. Just for some reason, my left hip sits lower than my right hip. So if you're adjusting the pants to be nice and square on what seems to be there, it's not going to sit right. So I naturally have to have a little bit more of a drop on my left pant leg. So that was my experience. Stand on box.
That's like the tailor I normally go to.
Hmm.
She's Egyptian, and whenever I come in, she's happy to see me because generally I only go there once a year because I buy my pants in the summer and then I have them hemmed and then I
Hmm.
wear them all school year and then I redo. But lately with um, my oldest and his school uniform, you know, there's been the odd visit, and I'm like, "Hey, it's me again." She's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be here." Like, it's hilarious. It's like talking to my mom. She's like, with the accent too. I don't do it as well as you,
Hmm.
but she's like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "My son needs." And she's like, "Oh my God, this is your son." And then she'll talk his ear off and basically say, "I've heard so much about you." And so now when the little one goes in there for his pants, she'll be like, "You're the little one." Um, Great lady. That's why the kids were like, "Why are we not going to her?" I'm like, "Because we bought your pants from the suit store, so I want them to deal with it. So if there's a
Hmm.
problem, your dad's going to be a dick. I'm not going to do that to Nina at the place down the street that no longer has a debit machine because she can't afford to have one." You
Yep.
get what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not going to do that to her. And I say that in a really bad way. I don't want to do that to anybody. But my point is that when you go corporate and you go hardcore, I have expectations that you're going to meet because I'm
Yep.
paying for a service and the way you guys operate, you will fix what you mess up. Nina, on the other hand, I recognize that this is her livelihood and COVID almost crushed her to bits. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to mess with that. And she's been great. She treats me like family. Every time I see her, she gives me an update on her girls. Her husband's a teacher, high school math teacher. So she's always talking to me about the education system and like it's really cool because they came from another country and now he successfully works as an OCT. So it's
Hmm.
like these people are not dumb people. They came to the country and they want to give back. It reminds me of my family. It reminds me of my parents. So it's like, you know, fix my pants, please, Nina. And we joke, and it's hilarious because she takes cash or check. I still love writing checks. It's so sometimes I just write her a check because it's fun because I don't get to do that anymore.
Hmm.
Um, and also, it's one of those. "Ah, shoot, Nina, my checkbook's at home and I don't have cash." She's like, "Not a problem. Just pay me when you come to get your pants." Like, so very there's that trust that you're not gonna get at the suit store.
Mhm.
"Hey, can I pay you?" "No, you pay now, or we
Yeah.
don't process," you know? Um, so yeah, no shoes. I was like, what's going on here? No shoes." Um, hey, tomorrow's Father's Day. Tomorrow's
Happy
Father
pre. Happy pre.
Happy pre coming soon. Can we say that? Coming soon, Father's
Yeah,
Day.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Oh, Rochelle's here. Bonjour, Rochelle.
Bonjour, bon matin.
She dropped this before I. Oh, yeah, she said bon matin. Yeah, and we responded bonjour, Rochelle. Um, I'm I'm not sure where to go next. There are a couple things I could talk about, but I don't know if I want to.
I
So
like I like this discernment.
I like it too that it's like live that we can say out loud. I don't know if I want to talk about what I want to talk about.
Mhm,
Um, I will tell you though, with 2 weeks left in the school year,
mhm,
I find myself with a new assignment. So I'm going to be ending the school year teaching grade 5 and 6. And I'm a little bit excited. I'm excited to see what these kids have in store at the end of the year because I haven't been in a classroom to end a school year in 3 years. Well, two and a half. It looks like in my third year of the job that I have that doesn't exist anymore, I will be ending in a classroom with kids. Um, and I'm kind of I'm not so bothered by the nonsense of it. So like when I was talking to my wife about it, she's like, "Oh God, the last 2 weeks, like how are you gonna keep it together?" I'm like, well, I know what the last 2 weeks can look like. And what I mean by that is everybody can see the finish line. The curriculum is covered as much as it's gonna be covered by that point. So it's like report cards have been handed into the principals to review. Um, you need to maintain order, but
mhm.
you can still have fun, right? You can still do things.
And not to be cheeky,
Mm.
but a great way is like, but what does that mean? What
Oh,
does
have
that mean in
fun.
this? Well,
Oh,
no, the other thing, because it can sound cavalier. You don't have to the maintaining order and have fun. I think it's good to say, but what does that mean? What does that mean in those last 2 weeks? What does that mean relative to the kids in the class? What does that mean according to like where our mindset is? It's easy for it to come off as flippant because
oh,
I have heard individuals at the tail end of the year, they're just like, yeah, F it. Like, I'm done. I'm so done. And I think I respect that energy. Absolutely. I get it where we're perceiving we're done. But I always like to hear, yeah, I'm so done. So what I'm going to do is like I want to hear people save themselves at the end. I want to hear people provide that solution. I want to hear like you recognizing your wellness and your kids' wellness is phenomenal. So what are you going to do about it? Like be a thinker. It can't be like I'm just gonna. It can't be like don't leave it as an ellipses. Say what are you gonna do? I told you in the on ramp. What even in here we're going for ice cream. We're gonna do movies. We're gonna do some. We're gonna create some comic books. We're gonna do some cartooning. There's a couple kids that want to learn to draw. They just said this. I'm like, I'll teach you what I know. So we're gonna learn to draw. We're gonna do some videos. Maybe I'll even ask. We'll do portraits of each other. Like that's what. So that's how I'm going to end the year. And like I said at the beginning of the pod, the only risk is because I'm in a community classroom, is that the kids that decided to go home and not stay for exam week next year, they're like, "Yo, we're coming in. We heard you did some fun programming." So there is an element of kind of ruining my own piece, let's say. But hey, again, my way of sort of closing and sort of addressing that I'm so done and it could be a little bit energy is to just kind of do stuff to kind of play with the energy. Yeah.
and so I like what you said there, and I can't even tell you. I can't. I can't give you part B. Well, what is it that you're going to do? What is it that you call fun? And I don't know because I haven't met them yet. That's the
Mhm.
other thing. Like I meet these kids on Monday. So I don't know what it means to, I don't know what that part B looks like because for me, um, I imagine the first couple of days, at least the first day, is me doing things to get to know them and to get them to know me a little bit in the activities that we do, right?
Mhm.
So um like I already have a great, how I would like to start with them is to share with them my relationship with their school principal. And I can remember clearly one of the first things I saw him do when he was a vice principal at the school I worked at. So I want to start with a story. I want to come in. I want to say, "Hey, this is who I am, and I want to talk. I want to share with you. I want to build a common connection. That's going to be your principal. So let me tell you how I met your principal instead of how I met your mother, right? But this is, for me. This is it will have me at ease, and I'm hoping it will loosen them up, soften them up a little bit. um and then after I do that, then I'll transition into something else, and then I will hit them with, this is what I need you to do now in response to what I just did, and then I need to observe who is, like, this is part of my process. Kind of fun to talk about because I need to see how they react to the next thing. So when I need to push them, I'm going to push you now. They might not see it that way, and it's going to come off as a very easy and subtle. To me, it's subtle, but I'm going to see who's avoiding this, who might start talking out loud, getting up and moving, who's going to just do what I told them to do, who's going to do it and sweat the whole time. Like, oh shoot, I've been given a task. This is not normally how I'd operate, but I don't want to talk back to him because I don't know him. Like, I'm observing all that. That's what's in my mind.
Mhm.
And then we go from there. But, so to tell you part B, I could tell you we're going to go outside and we're going to, no, I don't know. And I don't want to know. I don't want to know because part of, over, I don't know how many years, I have an issue. I don't have an issue with being planned. I will be planned for when I'm supposed to be with them.
Mhm.
But I don't need to plan a whole week today. I don't even know what's going to happen Monday. So when I go into them, I will have, for the amount of time I'm in the room, I will be planned for that time.
Mhm.
And I will have backup, right? I will have things on the internet that are ready to go, that are canned, so to speak, that I can say, okay, we're shifting into something different because you you guys and gals, you're not doing well with this, so we're going to shift. I've got a couple of emergency shifts, but I've got my story, and I want to come in with my story, and I want to even observe how many of these kids can just sit and listen to me. And if
Mhm.
they can't, then I need to connect with them and say, hey, when I'm doing this, if you need to get up and go to the window or whatever, you can do that because I don't want to torture you by having you just sit there and pay attention to me, particularly if you have needs that I don't know about yet. That's the other
Yep.
thing too. Like, one of the first things on my list, actually, you'll like this. The first thing on my list when I meet with the principal is, how do I do attendance? Because apparently there's a new way. So, like, how do I get into the attendance system? How do I do attendance? The second question is, who are the students that have different needs that are exceptional? Who are they and what are their exceptionalities? Those are my two big questions. A third one will be, if you want me teaching certain things, are there any resources I should be aware of, or do I need to go start finding things on my own? But it's like, how do I make sure I let the school know the kids are here and they're safe? Who are the kids that I need to kind of have an idea of their needs? Because I'm sorry, I'm not going to differentiate the first 2 minutes I'm in there. Like, so just tell me who has ADHD, who doesn't, who might talk back to me and tell me to go F myself. Like, this is important. I'd rather not have them tell me to F myself and be like, "Oh, that came out of nowhere." I'd kind of like to know. Um, and then I got my story, and then we'll go from there. But so it's I know, and and one of the things I'm going to tell them is I'm fully aware that we only have 2 weeks of school left, and I'm fully aware that you may be gassed and you might not be gassed. I'm fresh. I'm coming in fresh. So I'm I would like the time that we're together to go well, but I'm not exhausted. So
Mm,
um let's see how that all comes together, right? What does fun look like? And I might call it fun and they may not. But I'm the person who's responsible for them. So I got to make sure things are operating a certain way. And then within that operation, there's lots of space to differentiate and to be open to different things and to be closed to other things.
mhm,
So this is looking like how I'm going to end my school year in this classroom with these grade 5 and 6 students. Um, what I will say, and you and I talked a little bit about this on the on ramp, is that my re-engagement role has been given no it's been given nobody's paid any attention to it. So there's been no, maybe you can have a day on the end to connect with the kids and the families that you worked with all year. um, there's none of that. And in fact, when I inquired, so our last day is a PD day, as you know, right? And when I was talking to the powers that be, I said, hey, on the last day, can I go back to Bosco? I don't think I asked. I said, I intend on returning to Bosco. Um, I'm going to end there. And there was a silence, and there was like a confusion look on the face. And I said, I would like to end re-engagement with the people that I started with 3 years ago at the school where I found a home, where I was welcomed. And it was hilarious because there was no understanding, or like there was no oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Of course you should do that because you're a loaner. We've been loaning you out to schools, right? Um so then after some negotiation, and not in a bad way, just in a, because I'm
well,
like
surprising, I'm sure. You just put a signpost on a loop, right? You actually created a checkpoint on a loop. And for people that work in this perpetual loop of education, when someone actually puts, says, "There's a scenic route here that I just wanna pursue," I think it can be a little stunning to some people. Because it begins like, uh, "Oh, okay." Like, sometimes it doesn't take much for people to get on board with good ideas.
no.
They just have never heard it before. They just this is okay, yes. Like, so I like this moment. I like how you're, because part of it is, if someone is in, so whoever you're, the powers that be that you identified, if they're an idiot, they may just comply because it seems like you're doing the right thing. But if they are in, positive relationship with the system, they see they see the bigger impact and the legacy of doing the right thing, right? So I dig this. But often, yeah, it's a because we're on this loop, it's in the cycle of the year, all these kind of words that suggest that it's endless. And you're like, bop, I'm just going to take this scenic route for a second, and it's going to be gorgeous. And then I'm just going to get back on the on ramp, and I'll get back on the loop. I'm going to jump off it for a second.
It was like, I'm not going to I'm not going to report I'm not going to report to the school that you just had me in for 2 weeks for the PD day. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do that. I don't know anybody there, and not to sound rude, I'm not interested in getting to know anybody there that I don't know. I wanna
Mhm.
come in, I wanna do my job, and I wanna go home. I don't want to be there on a PD day. I don't know anybody, and I don't know the school, and I'm not gonna be at that school next year, so I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So, after I said my intention is to end up at Bosco sometime that day, then it opened up the conversation a little bit more. because it was still kind of in limbo where I'm going to be next year. So it was funny because it ended with, okay, in the morning, report to the school, report to where you think would benefit you the most for next year. And then in the afternoon, you can go to Bosco, and you can, if you choose to like to play it out that way. So morning, go to where you think is going to be best for you for next year, because you'll learn about school improvement plan and stuff for the next year. And then in the afternoon you can go to Bosco, because in the afternoon it's our union, it's their half day, and we're going to be watching a presentation. So it's going to be virtual. So like you can go to Bosco in the afternoon and connect with them and clean up your desk and do what you need to do at Bosco, and participate in the OECTA half day from there. I was like, awesome. Like I gave them two thumbs up. Like, yeah, that's cool. But it's just there. It was not on their radar at all. I don't even know if the person I was talking to knows that re-engagement doesn't exist next year. I don't think anybody cares.
Here's the thing, if the person receiving that moment, depending on how they're connected, it's an iterative moment. You watch next year, there could be whatever the re-engagement part is, there could be something that says, yes, and we feel that it is important to close up well. This is how these ideas start. Someone else doing well, you can we can do the shrug, but guaranteed sometimes you see so when I was doing Sal back in the day, some of the suggestions that people are like, you're nuts, now are part of the protocol,
Gotcha.
right? And the system's like, scoop, thank you. It gets rolled out in different languages, but different language, different styles, different sort of like edubabble.
You're right.
But then you're looking at it, you're like, why does that look familiar? It's like because the system just in a cold way, but probably it's the right thing to do, just not the right way to do it. They take it and they implement it and they start using it for themselves. So this reminder's good because it provides, we're feeding the system again, but this is the vitamins, this is the necessary, this is the reminder. And if the human in front of you that you're asking is only in some ways, there's a bureaucratic nature to their job, I've found time and time again, they do the happy accident of mentioning, hey, you know what? They're talking to the super. They're talking to someone who has big power in the system, and they're like, man, you know what? And they sometimes start from like this strange world kind of conversation. Yeah, you know what? It was kind of fascinating. I was talking to kids the other day, and he said he wanted to end at Bosco, and the person that has the power goes, oh, yeah. Scribble, 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 scribble. And then they sort of bring that idea to the next meeting. Like this is how you infect people with the good stuff. And and you can't control it, and it doesn't always happen. But I have experienced this like multiverse kind of thing where I'm looking at something that I didn't really share specifically with the source that's now sending it back to me. And I'm like, this is eerily very similar to what I was sort of doing at this point. And then you start to realize, yeah, it was grabbed. The
There
system
was
went,
there was no consideration built in for, I guess, where I've been living. Like when do you expect me to go and get my stuff from the place where, because we joked a lot that my car was my office, which it
yep,
was, but I
yep.
also had a physical place to land. So when is it that you'd like me to go and get my stuff?
Mhm.
And they don't, I'll say this in a nice, they don't care.
No.
Go do it when you can. No, I'm not going in there on my time. You guys keep telling me where to go, but you conveniently ignore that I've been somewhere for a certain amount of time. When am I supposed to shut that down? Right? Like,
Mhm.
so it was kind of cool because in this meeting I also had the vice president of my union there. So it was funny because when it got a little bit anal, I let them take over. Like, and then, when at the end they're like, do you have any questions? I'm like, yeah, I have a question about this and this. And it was questions that the power that be, you could tell that they didn't want to. They're like, oh shoot, you threw another wrench in it. I'm like, there's no wrench. It's called reality. It's not wrench. It's reality. You want me to do this. You haven't thought through this, and this, but I have, because it impacts my life. What you're telling me to go do, you're not considering certain things. certain privileges that I need to be accommodated with, and now you have to deal with it. Let me end with a funny, this is funny. So, without it getting into too much detail, the last placement I was in, I didn't attend for a number of different reasons, but in the system, my absences are listed with that school. So basically, when I was reassigned, they took my name and they attached me to the school I was reassigned to. And with that comes all the emails from that school. The system thinks I'm there. Okay. So when I was told about my new assignment for the last 2 weeks, which is different than where I was assigned 2 months ago, somebody went into the system and told the school from 2 months ago when I would be there. And I was notified. And then I forwarded that email to the power that be that I was in my meeting with and said, you might want to change this because that school thinks I'm coming to their location on Monday. I'm not going there. I'm going to my new placement for the last 2 weeks. And they're like, oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, I see that this is a problem. I will forward this to the person responsible for that. It's not been changed yet. I might be laughing Monday morning if it's still not changed and the one school thinks that they have somebody coming to cover, but they don't. And I just put my hands up and I say, you people do your thing. I saw it. I told you about it. You do what you want with it now. I know where I'm going. There are emails to prove where I'm going. It's just, there's so much going on that, of course, they're not going to consider any of my menial things that I consider because it's my life and it's my function. I just think, okay, well, if that's how your machine runs, good luck with that. Um, good luck with that. So maybe we'll get more into it when this is over. When during summer school, I think I might have to do some of my counseling sessions live with you. And I don't want it to be all about me, but there's been some real learning and some I got to peek behind the curtain and God, it's tough to watch the sausage be made behind the curtain. You see things that you never want to see, you know?
Yeah. Oh yes.
And you
Oh
see
yes.
incompetence of the people working behind there with the pigs and the sausage. You're like, that person works there? They clearly don't know what they're doing, but somebody thinks it's fine. Okay. I'm not eating the sausage anymore. Let's just put it that way. Did you draw something today, Christopher? No before no. I like that. At first, I thought you drew the bunnies in honor of Pretzel.
So okay, so that is me messing around with Chat GPT.
That's an image that's an AI generated image?
Yes.
Cool.
So I was bored one day, so I'm right now I'm paying short term for the Chat GPT 4.0, which has DALI, I think, integrated into it.
Yes,
So yeah, that's just me kind of messing around with a Simpsons thing. So
I like it.
yeah, and so yeah, I just one of the pictures that I made, I printed it out to see how it looked on cardstock and just put it into my just one of my journals. So
Love it.
yeah,
No
yeah.
before no.
No before no.
Okay. Have a great Father's Day tomorrow, whatever that looks like for
Well,
you.
there's the show where
Oh,
I
that's
have a
right.
yeah, I have a 2 p.m. I have a show that tomorrow, so there's that, and then the fam is coming to it, and then we're going out for food in Schaumburg.
Schaumburg?
Schaumburg, yeah, it's just east
Oh,
east of the theater. It's a pub. There's a pub there, Schaumburg Pub. I think we're gonna hit. So
awesome.
grab some eats.
I love it. So, uh, good luck with your show. Good
Thanks, man.
skill with your show. I got to see that show. It was a good show.
Happy to have you there.
Yeah, it was fun. Um, and wishing anybody and everybody a happy Father's Day. If you find yourself um, in the mode of fathering, have a great one. Thanks to Gary and Rochelle for jumping in on the chat. It's
Mhm.
appreciated. It's always nice to hear from them. Um, and that's it for today. This was season 7, episode 34, number 299. Peace.
Peace, man.